everyone, welcome to our channel. So today we have 3 different DIYs using items from the Dollar Tree for some Christmas crafting. First, we're going to go over the supplies, and I've broken down the supplies based on which craft we're doing. So let's go over the supplies for the ornaments first. We'll be making these 3 different ornaments. I actually got the idea from Big Lots. They were selling these ornaments in a package of 3 for $6, and I knew I could make them cheaper than that. So let's go over the supplies. So I got these foam balls from the Dollar Tree. We'll use some of their chalkboard tags, some floral wire, and a paint marker. We're also going to need a piece of ribbon and a little bit of greenery of your choice, and you need either a pin. I use this, really anything will work to stick through the middle of the foam balls, a ruler, and I'll use one of these snowflake stickers. We're also going to use some hot glue and a pair of scissors. So let's get crafty. The very first thing that I did was I took a ruler and I just drew some lines across the center of the chalkboard tag to make sure that my writing would be straight. Then I used my Crafter's Square paint marker to write out a word on the front of the ornament. So I chose to use joy and hope for the 2 ornaments that I did, and then just put some little dots at the top or the ends of each one of the letters just to make it a little bit more decorative. And while that was drying, I decided to do the snow one as well. While the other one was drying, I just used a snowflake sticker for the letter O and then put in the letters S, N, and W to write snow in the center of this one. And again, I did use the paint marker to put little dots at the top and bottom of each one of the letters just to make it a little bit more dressed up. And I did put some little dots around it to look like snowflakes. Now we'll use 18 of the foam balls, 20 inches of the floral wire, and something sharp to stick through the center. And you just want to wiggle it around through the ball. It'll help get the wire through the foam balls just because the wire is pretty thin and it tends to bend if you don't do that first. So we're going to push the first ball on to this about 2-inch mark and then fold it over on itself and then just begin to twist a little bit. Then pull that smaller end up a little bit and pull it tight, and then just start wrapping it around the wire that is there to make just this little end. This will help keep all of the foam balls from sliding off the opposite end and will help us connect it all together when we are done putting all the foam balls on the wire. So we're just going to keep doing the same process until we have all 18 of the foam balls on the wire. Now some of the packages of foam balls have different size balls in them. You do want to use the larger balls. That will be the perfect size if you do 18 foam balls on the wire. If you use smaller ones, you'll just have to keep measuring as you go to see how many you need. And basically the finished length of the wire with the foam balls on it will be 13 inches. So if you get to the 13-inch mark, that should wrap all the way around the tag. So then I did the same thing for the snowflake ornament. I just used the blue, silver, and the white foam balls, and I just alternated them as I put them on the wire. And now that we have all 18 balls on the wire, you're just going to poke the wire through the first ball that we did at the beginning and pull that all the way through, and that's going to create our circle. And then take your excess wire and just wrap it around about 2 times. You want that extra wire there. That's going to help us attach the chalkboard tag here. So then taking your chalkboard tag, stick that in the back and put the wire through the hole in the front. And then you're going to pull that up around to the top. So when you do this, you want to make sure that you're pulling the tag down so that it sits right in the center of that circle that we created. And then go ahead and take your wire, bring that around to the front, put it down through the hole again, just like you're sewing. You just want to wrap it around a few times. And once you have almost all of the wire completely used up, just tuck that down through the center. And then I gave the chalkboard tag a twist 1 time all the way around, and that keeps it in place and doesn't let it swing in the center of this little wreath that we made with the foam balls. Then go ahead and pull that hanger up, and that's actually just going to be the hanger that came on the tag. And we'll use that to hang the ornament on the tree. So now taking about a 6-inch piece of ribbon, we're going to just cut the end to give it those little dovetails there. just to dress those up a little bit. You don't have to do that part if you don't want to. We're just going to make a very simple bow. So I just lay it down on the table like this in an X pattern, and then took a little piece of fine ribbon, put that right through the center, and then just tie a knot around it, and it'll pull that ribbon together to create this little bow. And then you can go ahead and cut the excess pieces of the small ribbon off. You don't need that unless you want to keep it on to layer your bow a little bit. Like I said, you just want to pull it tight. Once you get it tight, go ahead and double knot the strings, and then go ahead and cut off the excess if you choose. You could straighten your bow up a little bit, make sure it's even, and we'll just apply this with a little line of hot glue at the top. And go ahead and just attach your ribbon. And then to dress this up just a little bit, use some greenery of your choice. You could also use some hollies or something, whichever you want. I'm going to use these frosted greenery that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I just cut some small pieces off, and I'm going to just attach them with a little bit of hot glue, and then just slide those underneath of the ribbon that I already put on the tag. And I'm going to put a little bit of greenery on each side of the ornament here. Now for the snowy ornament, I did a silver bow in the center, and I used a few little sprigs of one of their ice crystal stems that the Dollar Tree sells. And these are the 3 ornaments completely finished. Like I said, I was able to make 6 of them for $6. I actually had some things left over, so they're probably even a little bit cheaper than that. So now we're going to make the large round sign. It's pretty much the same idea as the ornament. So let's go over the supplies first. We're going to use some more of the frosted greenery. Again, something sharp to poke through the foam balls. I'm going to use this large Christmas sign from the Dollar Tree, some buffalo plaid ribbon with the wire in it, the 10-inch 3D wire form. We're just going to use the largest wire piece out of that. Some more of the white foam balls. We'll use some chalkboard paint and some Mod Podge. And then we're also going to use the floral wire, of course, and we'll use one of these window clings. So I found mine at Dollar General, but you can also get some at the Dollar Tree. And we're going to use the sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and one of these phone ring holders and a wrench. We're also going to need some hot glue and, of course, the scissors. So let's get crafty for this one. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and take this large ornament sign from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to pull up these little wire pieces. They're at the top of this ornament. Just straighten them out a little bit on both sides. You don't have to get that completely straight, just enough that you'll be able to fit them through the hole. And then we're just going to remove this metal piece and put it aside. We will not need this for this project. The reason we have the sandpaper is because these ornaments have glitter on them. I want to sand the glitter off so that it doesn't look so bumpy with our paint. If you don't want to sand it, you could just paint the opposite side and just leave this side as is. It's really up to you. So then taking a foam brush and the Dollar Tree chalkboard paint, I just did a nice heavy coat of the chalkboard paint all over the ornament and then set that aside to dry. Okay, so while that's drying, we're going to take this largest ring from that 3D sphere, and we're going to use the wrench to pull these little circles off of the wire. And then we also used it to bend the wire frame back and forth so we could separate it and open up this wire wreath form. So then just the same idea as we did with the wire earlier, we're going to push these foam balls around the wire frame here, but you want to go slow because it does push a decent size of that foam ball out of the center, and you don't want to rip the foam balls. So now that that's all done, we have to reattach this wire frame to itself so it stays closed. So I just took about a 20-inch piece of the floral wire. I wrap it around the top here and then go about 4 foam balls over and wrap it around a few times there. And then I just take the long piece on this one side and I weave it around these 4 foam balls and the wire frame. And by doing this, going in between each one, you're actually just pulling it together and keeping it tight, and it holds the frame together beautifully. I didn't use any glue or anything like that, and it stayed together no problem, just tying it together with the wire. Now taking our wire that we have left at the top here, we're going to put one piece through each of these holes at the top of the sign. And this is where we took that ornament topper off of the sign. So you're going to just pull those through from the front and pull the wire to the back. And then we're going to flip this over so it's laying face down. And then take your wire pieces in the back and just tie them together and give it a few twists and go ahead and cut off that excess. And you do want to make sure before you pull this tight that you have those foam balls sitting right where you want them on the edge of that sign. Then I took some hot glue just to cover up that wire. Now using our Mod Podge and our window cling, just put some Mod Podge on the back side of the window cling and then attach that to the sign. Waited just a few minutes, and then I took some more of the Mod Podge and I just used that all around the edges here of the window cling first, and then taking a sponge, I just brushed it all the way over the top of the sign there and then let that dry. Now we're going to take 3 10-inch loops of the buffalo plaid wired ribbon. Just make a loop. We're going to lay them like I had them laid on the table there, and then just scrunch them up together in the center. And taking a small piece of ribbon, wrap it around the center a few times, and then tie that in a double knot. This is the wired ribbon. I did purchase this at Dollar Tree around Halloween time. If you can't find it, really any ribbon will work here that coordinates with the picture and design you chose for your Christmas sign here. And you just want to adjust your ribbon. It does have wire in it. You just want to fluff those circles up a little bit. And then we're going to take another piece of ribbon that's about 10 or 12 inches long, cut some dovetails in there, fold it in half, and then use that excess string that we have in the center to attach the tails of the ribbon here to the top. And we just do that on the back. And like I said, I'm just taking that excess ribbon that I used to tie the bows together to tie on the little tails here. And I did do that with a double knot as well. And you do not want to cut the long pieces of the ribbon off here. We're going to actually use the excess ribbon that we're tying this all together with. We're going to use that to attach it to the top of the sign. So don't cut those off. And now that our bow's complete, like I said, we're just going to go ahead and attach it to the sign. So all I did is I took the sign and I flipped it over so I could see the back. And then I slid one piece of the ribbon up underneath of the wire that's holding those foam balls on, and then tied it around that wire frame. And it's okay if you tie it right in the front here, because we're actually going to cover the center of this bow with one of the silver foam balls that we used in the snow ornament. So just adjust your ribbon. If you want to glue those tails down in place, you can. And then take some more of your greenery and attach that with some hot glue. Just like we did with the ornaments, you're going to stick those underneath of the bow and on each side. Then I took another smaller piece of greenery and I attached that right to the center under the bow, just because I thought it looked a little tiny bit plain there. And like I said, I took a silver foam ball and then I'll attach this right to the center of the bow at the top. Then I wanted to put a hanger on this because I would like to hang it up. So that's where these phone rings come in. These attach to the back of your cell phone. I love to use these as picture hangers, and I always attach extra glue to these, even though it does have a sticky back. I just want to make sure that it's going to hold the weight of the sign that I'm attaching it to. And that's our hanger. And this is our large Christmas sign, all finished using items from the Dollar Tree. I just absolutely love how this turned out. And I love that you can use the vinyl window clings on signs and things. It really works out for people who don't own a Cricut or one of those silhouette cutters. So here's all of our ornaments and our sign. And now we're going to make this red truck snowy sign that I created. And the supplies we're going to need for this one You'll need one of these thinking of a master plan signs from Dollar Tree, a sheet of paper that's decorative. We're going to use this little red truck Christmas bag, the sanding sponge from Dollar Tree, a few of these ferns from the Dollar Tree, and a sprig of holly. We're also going to use a few pieces of baby breath, a little bit of twine, and some burlap ribbon also found at the Dollar Tree. And then I picked up this red and black buffalo plaid ribbon at Dollar Tree as well. There's snowy tulle, some Mod Podge, and then we're going to use just a little bit of white paint with a sponge brush and some dark green paint, a hot glue gun, and some scissors. So let's get crafty creating this last project here. So the first thing we're going to do is cover the front of our sign in some Mod Podge. You just want to do a nice thin coat and then take your decorative paper and you're going to attach this to the front of your sign. Now this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And once I have it attached, we are going to have to cut off some of the excess. So I just flipped that over and used a pair of scissors to remove that. I do have a little bit of bumps in the front where the glue was just a little bit too much that I had put on. The paper was a little bit thin. So I just used a squeegee and I got rid of most of the bumps there. But I wasn't too concerned with it because I knew I wasn't going to see that because of the bag we put on. So then to help make the edges nice and clean, you want to sand that paper and it helps it to adhere to the sides really nicely. Now taking our scissors, we're just going to cut out the front of this bag and put it on the front of the sign to help size it up. So I figured out that it was the perfect size if I cut it completely out. Then I just attached it with some Mod Podge and a sponge. I only applied the Mod Podge to the back because we are going to end up covering the front of this as well. Just line it up where you would like it to be on the front of your sign and then slowly smooth it on, working from the top towards the bottom, making sure you don't have any bubbles. Let that dry just for a bit. And we're going to start taking our snowy tulle and we're going to layer this over the top to make a nice snowy scene for the picture. So we're just going to line it up from one edge and then cut down the other side to help line it up. You can trim off any excess if it's a little bit too big, and you'll need 2 pieces so it's enough to cover the top and the bottom. You're just going to apply some more Mod Podge once the bottom layers had dried a little bit, and then attach that snowy tulle. And then again at the bottom, you'll have to trim off the excess where the cutout of the sign is at. So once that's dried for a little while, I took a small piece of buffalo plaid ribbon to give it a little bit more of a 3D effect. I covered the bow on the wreath and put a bow there. Then taking a sponge brush and some dark green paint, I wanted these ferns here to look like Christmas trees, and I needed them to be a little bit darker green. So I covered them with green paint first and then a little bit of white paint on the ends to make them look like they were covered in snow. And I just did this to all 3 of these pieces of the fern and let them dry just a little bit before we glued them down. So once those were dry, I just took some hot glue and decided where I wanted those to be on my sign. And then I glued those to the sides of the car, and it really helped create this nice 3D effect to this sign. I liked how it looked like you had kind of like a foggy background with the snow and then the bow on the car or the truck there, and then the little trees popping up in the front. Then take a little bit more of the white paint and cover the ends of those ferns where you attached them at. It helps to look like they're in little snowbanks. And it also helps to hide the line where you attach the bag. Now taking some of the burlap ribbon, we're just going to take 2 pieces and create a loop. We're going to make 2 loops is what I should have said here. And I just glued those together. You don't have to glue those together. I did glue mine together. And really you can make them any size loops. Then taking some twine, I just tied those together. And then I took 2 more pieces of the buffalo plaid ribbon and I made 2 more loops to attach to the front of the burlap bow. Once I have it all tied together, I just adjust the loops here and then it's ready to go ahead and glue to the sign. So I decided to do mine in the upper left-hand corner. I just used hot glue to attach it. And then right in the center of the bow, I attached that little sprig of holly that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I did use a little bit of baby's breath as well in the center of the bow. And then I took a few pieces of twine in different colors and created a simple bow as well and filled in that bow just to make it look a little bit fuller. And that is the whole sign finish. So those are all of our projects today from the Dollar Tree. I hope you guys enjoyed these. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great night, everyone.